could say, one way of looking at it, of how we create the matrix. Right? This is how we create our reality. You know, this has always been something, a deep question I've had, that I've just been fascinated with, but it's also really tragic at the same time. This is really tragic when you think about it. Because, you know, it's arguable, I mean, maybe, you know, some like higher level, you know, animals and stuff have some kind of self-consciousness or something like that. But as far as we know, right, for the most part, human beings are the only ones that can have choice about how they see things. We're not just stimulus response. So we're really the only ones that are free, right? So for example, a tiger, when it's hungry, it goes and hunts. It doesn't think about hunting. It doesn't go, well, should I hunt? Am I good enough to hunt? Am I safe to hunt? You know, it doesn't have like all the stuff that we have about it. But you can't really say they aren't free. If we're using this as a criteria, right? Freedom to choose, right? Not give in to our instincts, you know. If we call that freedom, you can't really say that an animal isn't free, because only a being who in its being has the possibility of freedom can be unfree. If someone, right, doesn't have the possibility, if a being doesn't have the possibility of being free, you can never say that it's unfree, because it never could have been free. So only beings, right? That's why we're the most screwed up, trapped, like things in the universe, right? It's like, you know, like I always love this metaphor, like an elephant, you know. Imagine an elephant, you know, like thinking it's an ant, trying to be an ant. How painful that would be, right? Well, in order for him to do that, he'd have to have the kind of freedom that we have. It's such a trip when you think about it, that as far as we can tell, we're the only things in the universe that have choice about something. We can make a choice. Yet, somehow, at the end of our lives, most of us we press a button, we know what you're going to say. That's a trip. So, it seems like once awareness, right, became conscious of itself, right? Other words, human being, right? Human being, here's human being. He became conscious of himself. Whoa! All of a sudden, there's a shift. Up until this point, it's just been stimulus response. There's been consciousness and awareness, but there hasn't been awareness of consciousness and awareness. A good example of this, we still actually experience this, is like, you know, say you're reading a book. And you're sitting on the couch and you're reading the book, and you're totally in the book. And then 2.5 hours later, you're engrossed in this book. The phone rings. Ring, ring, oh. And you pop out, and you go, oh, it dawns on you, I have been reading for 2.5 hours. Well, until human being, the phone never rang. Once the phone rang, we went, oh, I am. Now, that created something. I mean, I'm simplifying it, right? But I think you get my point. That created something. That created an enormous possibility, and an amazing possibility. And it also created its opposite, an enormous possibility for bondage. So the question that I've been grappling with, really, and I think I've said it before, is like, what is that difference for some people? They're born, and as they grow older, they actually become more open, more free. more, like life becomes more novel, more interesting, more colorful. They become more and more flexible, less and less predictable, yet at the same time more stable within all of that, open to surprise. And then some people, as they grow older, they become more repetitive and more predictable until like the moment that like maybe the moment before they die, all of this drops away and they have 1 second of like, oh my god, it was so fucking beautiful and I managed to miss it. Boom! Gone, right? That's what happens most of the time. What is that difference that makes that difference? I want to know what that is. And I think that you and I right now are watching this. We're all inside of that question on some level. For some of us, it's more personal, and maybe you wouldn't put it in those words. For some of you, maybe you would put it in those words. For some of you may not agree with me at all, right? You may think this whole thing is just a big crock of shit. But I think fundamentally, you can't not want this. It seems impossible to a human being to not want this. So what has us go like this? So I just kind of maybe outline some distinctions of how that may have happened, how we get stuck in the matrix. You know, we end up with a key in our own prison, where we built the prison, right? We got the key, and then we complain about being in prison, right? Which is part of the design of the prison, by the way. Now, would we consciously choose this? I don't think so. So, if we became conscious of it, when Guy became conscious of this, what do you think happened for Guy? In fact, Guy is still becoming conscious of it in deeper and deeper ways. What happens? So, one way of saying, now when we bring this back to the explorer stage, and getting someone's world, I'm hoping this puts a little bit more dimensionality to it, right? When we get them, what are we really getting in them? What is the thing that either we say it through silence or body language or tonality, or we directly say it in such a way that we're fully feeling them and appreciating them and accepting them, that has them go, oh, totally. What is that? Well, for me, this is my experience, because I share it with them. I actually get it. I think I'm feeling what they're feeling with them, but I'm actually getting them. And it's the moment where I'm looking at the box, and I'm seeing the box the way I see the box, and then all of a sudden, I really become them, and it snaps into place, and I see it exactly the way that they're seeing it. I was like, oh, that makes total sense to me, right? Well, first of all, they're thinking of their life usually in terms of this is the way it is, right? It's not a function of how they see it, they're just innocently looking at it